It's Thursday, June 3rd, and this is now on HNN.
We're on a really good track now.
As mainland cities reopen, some question what's holding Hawaii back.
For 2 weeks in a row, which is this week and next week, none of the neighbor islands have ordered the Pfizer trade.
Shipments of the COVID-19 vaccine to the state slow as demand drastically drops.
Princess Diana's wedding dress is back on display. I'm Ian Lee with Why It Broke, the royal mold.
Right now, I can't tell anybody how much a house is going to cost.
These stories plus why lumber prices are spiking and what that means for home prices. That's coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thanks for watching This Is Now on this Thursday. We got Mark in for Ashley, and we just got those latest COVID-19 numbers being reported by the state.
That's right. The state reporting 45 new infections today, 37 confirmed cases, 8 are probable, and 1 new death. Now, this comes after a day of 25 cases. Now, even with the low case counts we've been seeing, Hawaii's governor continues to push back against reducing business restrictions in the islands. And Honolulu's mayor is still waiting for an answer to his plan. That's today's talker.
The one thing we want to make sure is that we don't declare victory prematurely and feel that because things are going in the right direction, that we don't have to keep vaccinating people.
Dr. Anthony Fauci's words today as scenes like this play out across the mainland.
And it's officially open right now, my friends!
Former COVID hotspots like Las Vegas and New York have fully reopened their tourism economies as the number of coronavirus cases drop and vaccination rates increase across the country.
We're on a new day now.
Just listen to what New York's governor had to say.
It's time to start living again. Get out of the house. Start to see loved ones again. Socialize again. Participate in activities. We said follow the science. The science says it is now safe because the vaccine was always the weapon that was going to win the war, and the weapon is now hitting critical mass, and that's why you see the numbers coming down.
While rules on trans-Pacific travel remain in place for the state, that's not stopping visitors from coming to the islands. The state has completed its arrival counts for May. It topped 706,000, down 26% from May in 2019, but by far the strongest arrivals volume since COVID. The Garden Isles saw fewer than 50,000 arrivals, less than 3/4 normal, but double April. Big Island arrivals actually beat May 2019 by 4%. Maui got 98% of normal, Oahu 91%. No wonder rental cars are in short supply.
There's a lot of states that are less and they're already fully reopened.
Hawaii has some of the highest vaccination rates and the lowest case counts in the country. Now some are wondering why the state is keeping restrictions on businesses.
And I think actually Hawaii is the only state in the nation that has no reopening date or plan set yet.
Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi recently submitted a plan to Governor David Ige to ease restrictions on businesses, given that more than half the state's population is already fully vaccinated. But Blangiardi says Ige wants to see the vaccination rate hit 60%.
I think at the 60% level, hopefully, we'll see some significant modifications, including travel as well. And we're almost there. We are almost there. We will get there. That's not a maybe kind of a deal. We will get there.
It may take a few weeks to reach that threshold, leaving restrictions in place during a part of the busy summer travel season.
Right now, we seem to be deluged. The model the DPED just put forward has, starting in June and then even July, we're going to be at record-setting levels of domestic travels.
Speaking of the local business community, many restaurants are saying finding good help has been hard with a labor shortage. We sent Casey Lund out to Waikiki to see what he could find out.
Good afternoon from Shorefire in the International Marketplace, their beautiful Waikiki location. I want to talk to the owner, Alan Farina, is with me this morning about hiring and staffing right now. We know it's a challenge to get people in. What do you think is going on? What do you think the biggest barrier is for getting some of those positions filled?
We need people to go back to work. We just need people to, if you're a hostess, you can talk to people. If you are a server, you can talk to people. If you like being in the back of the house, you like cooking, you just have to work at it. But we need people to come back to work right now. The reason why they're not coming back to work is, I guess, just the whole unemployment situation, because we have tons of positions open, just like all of our neighbors. We just need, please, like our government to help us out and work on a plan to get people back to work instead of keeping them off work, or I don't.
And I know the Hawaii Restaurant Association has been a great help in trying to get the word out about positions. Where can people go if they want to learn more? You can just come in the old-fashioned way, correct?
Come in the old-fashioned way. They can go on Facebook. Look at our Facebook page. You can apply for jobs right on Facebook. Give us a call. Basically anything, just come on in.
Alan Farinas, thank you so much. I also want to talk to Michael Miller. Michael Miller is with us, Director of Operations at Tiki's. Michael, I know that you guys are also in the same boat, trying to get some help back in here. This is really a good time to get back into the service industry. Things are building up pretty quickly.
Absolutely, we're busy, and we're busy having a lot of fun. It is about service, it is about aloha, and we have a good mix of visitors and locals. You know, with people say, why Tiki's? Why come work there? You know, we have that oceanfront view, so you have an indoor-outdoor experience if you want that. We have phenomenal sunsets, live music every single night, 7 days a week. And as an employee, you get to have those same benefits. You can come in with your friends and get half off your check once you're done with training. The stories that we hear in our industry is that the lifelong friendships are grown in the restaurant, in the hospitality industry.
And I want to ask you before we go where folks can go to learn more about opportunities at Tiki's.
That's right. So tikisgrill.com. You can either email us there or just stop on in. It's so easy to come and visit us. We're also on Facebook, and there's a job listing on there as well.
Very good. Michael Miller, thank you so much. Again, the Hawaii restaurant industry can connect you with jobs as well. You can email info@hawaiirestaurantassociation.org. Reporting in Waikiki, I'm Casey Lund. For now, we'll send it back to you.
A dramatic surge in lumber prices is making the dream of home ownership harder to achieve for many Americans. Maria Villarreal reports.
Hard to tell from this view, but Bob Dixon's Southeast Alabama mill is considered small by industry standards.
The whole game is to get this in somebody else's shed, not mine.
He says logistical issues like staffing and delivery are making it hard to respond to the increase in lumber demand.
The issue now with employees being paid to stay at home. It's not just our industry, it's everywhere you go.
In addition to the logistical hurdles, mills are also facing soaring demands for home renovations. The result? Lumber prices have tripled in the last 12 months since April, adding roughly $36,000 to the price of a new home.
It's tough.
Birmingham builder Alicia Huey says higher prices threaten her business and price homeowners out of the market.
So if this is going up for you, I would imagine then that cost gets pushed onto the homeowner?
It does. Right now, I can't tell anybody how much a house is going to cost.
What does that do to the American dream?
Kills it.
The ripple effect now reaching families that need help the most. The nonprofit Habitat for Humanity no longer taking applications in Birmingham. Industry expert Paul Yonke says at the start of the pandemic, mill operators and home builders scaled back to prepare for a recession that never came.
We saw people wanting to move out of the cities and purchase new homes. We saw people wanting to add on and make improvements to their homes. So that strong surge in demand, at the same time we saw production and buying decline, is really what drove these prices so high.
That industry expert we spoke with said prices are already starting to come down, and we should see a significant decrease in the fall when demand usually comes down as well. But he did warn, do not expect those pre-pandemic prices. Mireya Villarreal, CBS News, just outside Birmingham, Alabama.
The Honolulu Police Commission's latest nominee faced criticism at Honolulu Hale. Those who testified at a recent city council meeting say even with 30 years in Hawaii, former East Chicago police officer Larry Ignis lacks experience with minority groups.
But do you acknowledge that racial discrimination exists in Hawaii?
I have never seen any, and I've been here 33 years. And like I said, I'm an employer right now. I employ 28 to 30 people now. I don't see any discrimination, no. Not here in Hawaii, not like maybe back in the mainland.
There is nothing to indicate he has worked directly with those in our community who are disproportionately impacted by policing. So I asked the City Council to please tell the mayor to try again.
Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi nominated Ignis, and the council did not take a vote. members say they're looking forward to asking more questions in committee. The state health department turned away more than half of its federal allotment of the Pfizer vaccine this week. Allison Blair explains the dwindling demand.
There'll be no Pfizer shipments this week and none next week either. That's because health officials say hospitals on the neighbor islands are having trouble getting rid of what they already have. Vaccine clinics seem to be popping up everywhere, but lately it's been a lot harder to get people to stop in for a shot.
When it comes to our adult population, the demand has dropped off.
The head of the Healthcare Association of Hawaii says hospitals and their pods primarily use the Pfizer vaccine. But the last time the state accepted its total weekly allotment, just over 44,000 doses, was more than 2 weeks ago on May 16th. Oahu received about 36,000 doses, while the neighbor islands got a little more than 8,000. Since then, the numbers have taken a nosedive. This week, the state's turning away more than 60% of its total allotment. Oahu requested just 16,000 doses. The neighbor islands didn't place orders at all.
But for 2 weeks in a row, which is this week and next week, none of the neighbor islands have ordered the Pfizer tray. Now, there is still some Moderna that's being distributed on the neighbor islands, but that's relatively small amounts.
What we really want to focus on in the coming weeks is generating more demand.
We've learned the state should announce the details of its incentive program Friday, expected to include airline miles and gifts from merchants.
Beyond the incentives, we really want to generate interest by sharing good, credible scientific information about just how safe these vaccines really are.
The plan is to also expand access. There are 185 vaccination events planned for this month. That's on top of the 200 that are already out there. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Today, CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg had more to say about those unruly passengers on flights. Here's a portion of his Facebook forum.
The FAA reported 2,500 cases already this year of unruly passengers. Southwest alone, 477 of those. That number, of course, has gone up since then. 1,900 of those cases by the FAA were basically because people didn't want to wear masks. But get ready, an overwhelming number of the current cases, alcohol was involved. Gee, what a surprise. Alcohol and altitude in an enclosed aluminum cylinder. What could go wrong? I talked about last week Southwest Airlines banning the resumption of bringing back alcohol sales on their planes, at least through July. They were followed in short order by American Airlines saying they're not going to bring it back until September, and other airlines may follow suit. You know, guys, short of putting a breathalyzer at the jetways, we have a problem. You know, there's a reason why the NFL stopped selling alcohol in the fourth quarter, right? Okay. What about airport revenue with bars at the airports? There should be, you only get in with a boarding pass that says your flight's leaving in 17 hours, not 17 minutes, because people are getting tanked. And then they're walking on the plane already out of control. This is not good. And it's only going to get worse. So we're going to see what happens. Obviously, there are huge civil penalties, up to $54,000 per incident, not to mention criminal penalties, because anytime you mess around with a flight attendant, you've created a federal offense, and you're met by marshals. Not pretty. So that's what's going on with that. And for those of you who think you want to get around the rules and BYO, that's also an offense, a federal offense. And it violates airline rules as well. It means you're going to get banned as well for that. So for those of you who want to chug a lug, you know, try Evian.
Peter Greenberg always keeping it real, right?
Yeah, that really is some amazing information and disturbing video that we saw in the middle of
that Southwest incident where the flight attendant got her teeth knocked out, literally. It was a really rough incident.
Yeah. Unruly passengers, and you know, you have to wonder if there's a correlation with all the stay-at-home orders, this pent-up need to travel, get out again and party, you know, stay in control.
And he's information I'd never heard about. I didn't know that NFL rule that Peter was mentioning there.
Yeah, the NFL rule, alcohol, not in the fourth quarter at major league stadiums, not past the seventh inning. So, enjoy your events, travel, and party responsibly.
Yeah, and no BYOB. Keep that in mind, too. All right, let's take you outside where it is 84 degrees right now downtown. Turning it over to Guy Hoggy with an update on all the conditions developing weather-wise.
How's it on this Thursday? We are tracking the remnants of a cold front. Clouds and showers are expected to move into Kauai and Oahu by later this afternoon. We're not expecting a whole lot of rain, but you can see that moisture just starting to aim for Kauai. It's going to dip down towards Oahu later this afternoon, although it looks like Maui County and the Big Island will be out of reach of that front. So drier conditions for the east end of the state. We'll all get those breezy trade winds, except, of course, for Kona. They'll get light winds there. But the trade winds will be a little bit stronger today than they've been for the last several days. Still, there's going to be a nice start to the day before the showers show up. We'll see lots of sunshine, high temperatures running into the upper 80s again. But with those trade winds blowing in at 15 to 20, humidity levels not really an issue. An issue, though, on the South Shore, box jellyfish likely swimming in today, so heads up for that. Check with lifeguards before you jump in the water just to be safe. And the biggest waves for that dropping swell, that's where you'll find the biggest waves up in the country, even though the waves are getting smaller. So again, scattered showers by this afternoon through tonight. Drier conditions by Friday with stronger trade winds hanging on through the weekend. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Breaking national news, celebrity attorney F. Lee Bailey has died. Through a decades-long career, he worked a number of high-profile cases, defending O.J. Simpson, Patricia Hearst, and the alleged Boston Strangler. He was 87 years old.
New at noon, an aviation company is working to build a supersonic airplane that could cut long-distance travel times in half. Here's Tom Costello.
It was 2003 when the Concorde last flew passengers over the Atlantic at twice the speed of sound. New York to London in 3 hours, but the Concorde was too loud and too expensive. A fatal crash in 2000 helped put an end to the program. Now, nearly 18 years later, the next generation of supersonic is almost here. Denver-based Boom is now ground testing a small prototype, the XB-1, with a bigger passenger version coming soon. And this morning, United Airlines is placing a very big bet on Boom, ordering 15 jets and possibly as many as 50, flying by 2029.
So if I'm a United passenger, I may be flying your supersonic jet by the end of the decade.
By the end of the decade. We want to do supersonic as quickly as possible. We think the world needs this.
150 starting to flare.
Former fighter pilot Bill Shoemaker is Boom's chief test pilot, preparing for the first flight late this year or early next.
When you fly supersonic fighters, when you go from flying subsonic to supersonic, often you don't even notice that you've made that transition.
If you're in the passenger seat, do you feel the boom?
You don't. That's one thing that's a little surprising, is that you really feel nothing when you accelerate from subsonic to supersonic.
The new plane should be able to carry up to 88 passengers flying at 60,000 feet. New York to London in 3.5 hours. San Francisco to Tokyo in 6. Los Angeles to Sydney in 8.5. United thinks it's just what customers want.
The experience in the cabin is going to be a first-class experience. And, at 60,000 feet with big windows, it's going to be an amazing experience, one of a kind. You will see the curvature of the Earth, but even more exciting to me is if we take off in London just after sunset, you'll be able to watch the sun rise in the west as you get back to New York City.
San Francisco to Japan in 6.5 hours. Can you imagine what our trans-Pacific travel will be changing into? That's so cool.
All the possibilities, all the marvels of engineering on full display right there.
Yeah, more marvels on full display. Check this out. NASA wants to take you closer look at the planet Venus. The space agency will chart 2 new missions to Venus as part of the Discovery program. NASA says Venus, as once might have been the first habitable planet in the solar system, and now it's just like a big inferno. The agency also wants to find out why that's the case. Huge mystery. I've enjoyed seeing what's going on with the Mars mission that's happening right now.
Yeah,
that little helicopter.
With the lunar missions as well.
Yeah, it's NASA, all our This Is Now fans know we love our space news, and that's some cool stuff.
Yeah, all the exploration right there. Now we're talking space. How about a little Sailor Moon? The Sailor Moon franchise comes back to life on Netflix today. A pair of movies featuring the cosmic-powered heroines is premiering on the streaming platform. The franchise first launched back in 1991 and then morphed into a popular animated series throughout the 90s, and so something to check out
Never
on
saw
Netflix.
It. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but I've never seen the series.
Oh, you have a chance right now, huh? Just turn on the Netflix.
We're always talking Netflix.
In our next story, June is World Oceans Month, and Outrigger Hotels and Resorts is showing its commitment to a sustainable and healthy ecosystem. The company has launched a Caring for Our Coral Reefs sweepstakes program, and it's all to highlight the importance of eliminating ocean pollution, protecting our coral reefs. Winners of the sweepstakes can win a number of prizes, including a grand vacation. For more information on this, head to outriggersweepstakes.com. So an extremely important cause right there, getting the word out about the urgency of taking care of the ecosystem.
Cool contest. All right, let's get to some good news. And for fashion lovers and lovers of the crown, Princess Diana's wedding dress she wore 40 years ago is now on display. We got Ian Lee with an up-close look.
This dress was once one of the best-kept secrets in fashion. The bridal gown Princess Diana wore on her wedding day in 1981. Now it's out of storage and back on display for the first time in 25 years.
I think the really special thing about this dress was it was one of the first royal wedding dresses to really speak to contemporary fashion.
The 20-year-old future princess teamed up with fashion designer Elizabeth Emanuel.
She kind of trusted us to come up with something that she would really love.
She not only loved it, but smashed the royal rules and a record too.
The previous record was 23 feet. And so with Diana, we thought, let's do better than that.
So designers added 2 more feet to Diana's sequin-encrusted train, making the longest train in royal history. Diana would have turned 60 next month. Her sons, Princes William and Harry, are loaning their mother's dress to the royal exhibit at Kensington Palace.
So the dress is made out of this wonderful heavy silk taffeta. It was woven in England, and it's embellished with a beautiful Suffolk lace.
Princess Diana did keep some tradition. The antique lace was something old. The dress was new. Her tiara was borrowed, and a little bow in the back was something blue. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Never knew about the something blue there. So get this, Ian passed along this information. The secret of the dress was so guarded that the fashion designers making the dress actually put little fake pieces of fabric in the trash cans outside the studio to trick the press into thinking it was something else.
Yeah, and it's so many people following what is happening with the royal family. And I think there was also a story a few weeks ago about a bicycle that Princess Diana used to own also going up for auction as well. So,
and you watch it all unfold on The Crown.
Yeah.
A dramatized fake version, but that wedding scene is very cool.
Another Netflix mention. Finally, we have one more story to get to. The USPS stamp honoring Japanese-American World War II veterans is now available. The Go for Broke stamp was officially released today in a virtual ceremony. It pays tribute to the Nisei veterans who served on the all-Japanese-American 110th Infantry Battalion and 442nd Regiment. The stamp is available nationwide. Now, earlier this year, Jim Mendoza did a story on how this came to life. Get this, it took 15 years to convince the Postal Service to get on board.
Whoa.
The effort started with 3 Japanese-American women who wrote letters to the Postmaster General. The husbands of the two of the women served with the Military Intelligence Service and 100th Infantry Battalion. So yes, it was the 100th Infantry Battalion.
Fascinating history there.
So
and
yes,
then
nationwide, it's available.
You can get it at the post office right now. So Mark is going to be back with us tomorrow.
Yep.
Very appreciative of that, sir. And he'll also be back at First at 4 on KHNL, so you don't want to miss that. And don't forget, we're podcasting all the time here at HNN. Just search Hawaii News Now anywhere you find your podcasts, and you'll listen to a lot of good stuff. We'll see you back here tomorrow.